happening, everybody? And welcome back to the Chaplaincy on the Go podcast. I'm your host, Josh Zorhoff. I am a pastor and a therapist in the West Michigan area, and we are continuing our conversation on emotional health. That's what this podcast is all about, to talk about the different ways that emotional health impacts us in our lives and how important it is to pay attention to our mental and emotional health and figure out how we can be wholehearted people in the way that we interact with people in our lives, people at work, people at home. And we're going to talk today about something that's really critical, especially as, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, we find ourselves in the holiday season. For many people, as soon as November hits, all the way up to Christmas Eve or maybe even Christmas morning, there tends to be a hurried push and pace to life. And I want to talk today with you about something called hurry sickness. At this season, in the Christmas season, it should be a time for reflection and slowing down. But I found over the course of my life, and certainly as a father and as a pastor, we tend to get busier in the holiday season, and it can be really overwhelming. And that is not just for the holidays. That's actually a new reality for most Americans, that we experience a greater pace of life and we experience a hurriness to our lives. And I want to start by quoting some great and incredible theologians by the name of the band Alabama. They had a song, "I'm in a hurry to get things done. Oh, I rush and rush until life's no fun. All I really gotta do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and don't know why." I'm in a hurry and don't know why. Have you ever felt like that in your life? Have you ever felt like from the moment you open your eyes until the moment you close them, you are in a hurry? Do you ever find yourself when you are sitting still anxious because you're so used to being in a hurry? If you sit down in the chair at the end of the night and you are still for a moment, do you find yourself needing to fill that stillness with something, whether that's your phone or entertainment? When was the last time that you sat still and just enjoyed a slow movement or a slow pace? A lot of people struggle with that. And there's a reason for it. Over the last 100 years in American culture, we have become increasingly hurried. Through some of the work of John Mark Comer in his book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and also Tyler Staton, who is a pastor, he wrote a book called Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools. Those two resources highlighted some really important elements of culture that I want to share with you. And if you are following along in the podcast notes, we actually have a link to a worksheet where you can have some of this information as well. Our world is moving faster and faster, and we are immersed in hurry. In fact, we are certainly more hurried as a people than we were 100 years ago. In 1985, a professor named Philip Zimbardo speculated that Americans were beginning to show signs and symptoms of what he called hurry sickness, defined as repetitive thoughts of being behind and not accomplishing enough, which increases stress and anxiety. And all of this can cause a physical sickness to our bodies. You may experience things like constantly checking digital devices and comparing accomplishments to others on social media, or you have behaviors that help to reinforce this idea of whatever you are doing, it isn't good enough. People experience increased restlessness, can't be still, even for a moment, and you're filling the time with the doom scroll or emails or text messages. How many times do you look around at lunch and see people who are sitting at a table eating and looking at their phone because they have to have something to do to fill their time? Collectively, our attention spans are getting worse. Currently, the average attention span for someone in the United States is less than 9 seconds, which, by the way, is the attention span of a goldfish. We used to have attention spans that could last anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, but now it is less than 9 seconds. And there are some specific reasons for that. There were 3 inventions that changed the pace of life for Americans and really for many people living worldwide. The first was the invention of the clock. In 1370, the first public clock was set up in Germany. Now, historians actually point to that moment as a turning point when the world shifted from natural time to manufactured or artificial time. As of 1370, when people started managing their lives with clocks, time shifted from being a limit that would govern our lives to a resource that could be used according to our agendas. So it used to be that people would wake up when the sun came up and they would go to bed when the sun went down. And it was governed by the rising and setting of the sun and the seasons of life that we lived in. But when the clock came around, people knew what time it was. And then the Industrial Revolution came, and all of a sudden we had new shifts, new times, and new ways of operating. And that also plays a factor in how we experience hurry. We are now slaves to the clock and the schedule. The other invention that had a drastic impact on our state of rest as people, or the state of hurry that we find ourselves in, was the light bulb. In 1879, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, which, among other things, cut way back on our sleep time. As I mentioned, it used to be that we went to sleep when the sun went down and we woke up when the sun came up. Now, according to that calendar, prior to the invention of the light bulb, the American person on average slept 10 hours a night. When was the last time you slept for 10 consecutive hours in one night? When was the last time that happened? For most of us, we can say never, because right now, the average American sleeps 6.5 hours a night. And I will add that the CDC recommends no less than 7 hours for human health and thriving. So it's true, there are some people who need less sleep. But overwhelmingly, Americans are getting far less sleep than we used to, and we are getting less sleep than doctors recommend. Another reality that has impacted hurry, and this one is significant, is the invention of the iPhone. When Apple released the first iPhone in June of 2007, they gave us a tracking device for the data that we now have. In 2016, there was a study that found that the average iPhone user touched their phone 2,617 times a day. staring at their phone screen for 2.5 hours over 76 sessions. So 2.5 hours on average every single day. And now post-COVID, now in 2023, almost 10 years later, those numbers have doubled. The average person spends 5 hours scrolling, streaming, viewing, and working from their smartphone. I forget the exact number, but roughly 90% of Americans have a smartphone. And so we are all in this together. We've had the clock, we've had the light bulb, we have the iPhone, and we have a great sense of hurry. And here's the problem. Here's the issue. Hurry has a devastating impact on our minds, on our bodies, and on our souls. Here's the problem of hurry. When we perform complex, intensive tasks without giving our brains time to recuperate, we experience brain fatigue. Our brains only have so much computing power every single day. And unfortunately, when we're in a hurry and we are filling our thoughts between activities with more information, more stuff, more decisions, it gets us into trouble. The average human being makes 30,000 decisions a day. These are some decisions that we don't even necessarily think about, and yet our brain naturally makes them. If you pick up a cup of coffee and you put it back down, that's 2 decisions. If you start your car and then forget that you left something on at the house and you get out of your car and go in, and that's multiple decisions that are being made moment after moment after moment. We make about 30,000 decisions every single day. Now, some people make more. My wife's a first grade teacher, and I would argue that teachers probably have to make twice that amount because they're not just deciding for them, they're deciding for all of the children that they're responsible for as well. And there's a reality to when we exceed the amount of computing power that we have and we overload ourselves with decisions, we get tired. Your brain can only do so much. And studies have shown that the frontal lobe, the part of the brain controlling our highest levels of cognitive and executive function, is particularly susceptible to cognitive failure. In her book, A Minute to Think, Juliet Funt walks through the devastating realities of not giving our brains a break. And she talks about how executive functions of the frontal lobe, if we don't have that, if that's not working well, we can't strategize, we can't execute plans, we're not proficient, we're less effective. Have you ever had it where you try to do more and more and more, but find yourself doing less and less and less? And it's almost like the more you try to do, the less effective you are. That has a huge component of hurry sickness to it. Adam Gazelli, award-winning neuroscientist, says these words: research suggests that the only way to recover from cognitive depletion is to give our brains a break. And that is absolutely true in terms of our brain, but it also, hurry also has a problem when it comes to our bodies. Research shows that hurry sickness increases the risk of heart disease, increases high blood pressure, as well as decreasing our immune system responses and struggling with obesity, digestion issues, and also increasing musculoskeletal discomfort, joint aches and pains. It is all part of hurry sickness. So maybe you have some GI issues. Maybe you struggle with hypertension or high blood pressure. Maybe you have more joint pain than normal. Now, that could be old age, and it could be what you're eating, and it could be your diet, guaranteed. But is it possible that maybe you're seeing some of the signs and symptoms of hurry sickness? Hurry also has a devastating effect on our spirits and our souls. Sometimes we don't know how to be present in calm situations. We don't know how to be comfortable when things are quiet. We don't know how to sit and just soak in the beauty of the world around us. Have you ever struggled to sit and watch the sunset just slowly go down and resisted the urge to look at your phone or to take a picture or a selfie or talk to somebody? Do you even know how to sit in quiet anymore? I struggle with that. I have found over the last year that I have conditioned myself to hurry, and it's a problem. In fact, the other night, my wife and my son were sitting down watching TV, and I was sitting with them, and I had this overwhelming urge to get up and go clean the kitchen and put away some dishes because I just needed to move and do something. Now, every once in a while, that's okay. But I realized in that moment, sitting still actually made me anxious because I was so used, and I am so used to being in a hurry. And so one of the practices I need to discipline myself in as we enter into 2024, I need to learn to slow down, and I need to learn how I can be okay with slowing, how I can learn to be okay with not being in a hurry and enjoying and being present in the moment. I love what Juliet Funt says about the importance of stillness. The word for still is encapsulated in what she calls the power of the pause. I also love what Tyler Staton says about being still, that the word vacation actually comes from the Latin word vacate, which literally translates to be still. To combat hurry sickness, we have to take a break, take a minute, take a moment to breathe, take a mini vacation. And there are different ways that we can do that. First, take time to rest. In between activities, if you are at the workspace and you have a meeting at 10 o'clock and then you have another meeting at 11:30 and you've got a 5 to 15 minute window, take a break before engaging after that meeting is done. So if you get done with your meeting, instead of immediately opening up your phone to see what's coming next or to see who texted you or to see what kind of information is now available to you or to go on social media, put your phone away. Maybe put it in your desk or put it in your truck or put it in your car and go for a walk for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes without any technology. Just take a break. Research shows that when we do this, we actually increase neuroplasticity. It's easier for us to recall. We create memories. We're more effective on the job. Just take a break. Resist the urge to fill that time with something technological. Take time to be still. Stop moving. Place your feet firmly on the ground. Set your weight evenly between your feet and be still. Research shows that when we are still, we can actually decrease symptoms of anxiety. Also, if you can, take off your shoes and your socks and be connected to the grass. There is so much evidence You can Google it. To the power of actually feeling the grass underneath your feet. We were created to be in nature and to be connected to nature. In fact, I have a friend who literally goes into the woods because his doctor prescribed a walk in the woods for him as a way to de-stress. Yes, a doctor prescribed it. To go and be in nature, it's actually called tree therapy. You can Google that one too. It's so good for us to do that, to just take time, sit under a tree and be still. Find time to be in silence. Find a quiet place. Eliminate noise. Eliminate distractions. Take 1 to 2, maybe more minutes and just be in quiet. If you have to, find a pair of noise canceling headphones. You can get them fairly inexpensively off of Amazon. You can also spend a lot of money on a pair, but getting a pair of noise canceling headphones where you can just be in quiet can be deeply, deeply healing. Bottom line, hurry is a problem, and we need to resist it. We need to resist hurry with every fiber of our beings. So I want to encourage you, as you enter into 2024, or maybe you're listening to this and it's 2025, no problem. Still applies. But as you enter into this next season of your life, ask the question, am I in a hurry? And how can I slow down? Make a plan this year for a daily stillness, a daily, maybe even multiple times a day, moment of rest. Make a plan for silence. Make a plan for your health. Because if you're not careful, if we're not careful, we can get caught up in one big dang hurry. And it can be so, so devastating to our hearts and minds and souls. As we continue on, we're going to take some time to talk about some major elements of how mental and emotional health are impacting us right now. As we enter into the new year, we're going to take some time to talk about loneliness and the impact of loneliness. In fact, loneliness is a major issue for Americans right now. We're going to take some time to talk about anxiety, and we're going to take some time to talk about addictions. And so that's what we have coming up as we enter into a new year and a new season of life. We're looking forward to these conversations. And if this conversation was helpful for you today, if it was helpful for you to hear a little bit about hurry, and you want to know more, maybe even get some help in navigating some of the realities of your life that are causing hurry, send us an email to chaplaincy@fearlessfollower.org or check out our website, fearlesschaplaincy.org. We'd love to talk to you. If you work for a business or a company and you think it would be helpful for us to come in and talk about things like anxiety and hurry and depression, we would love to do that. You can get a hold of us on the website and you can connect with us there. And also, if this was helpful for you, we'd love it if you would share it with a friend. Maybe you know someone who's going through just a very busy, hurried season of life. We would love to help, and we would love to talk with them as well and share a little bit of how we can all together be more wholehearted in our approach to life and more wholehearted in the way that we interact with the people around us. That's all we've got. We're excited to continue on this conversation.